Hey everybody, it's Josh. The times of lamentations is over. The time for feeling sorry for ourselves is over. It's time to get serious about what you're going to do with your life. You might be older, you might be younger. But either way, you have to make this choice. But I would make it carefully. Because what brings you fulfillment in life? I used to ask when I first started doing these videos, what makes you happy in life and why? And the common answer was a loving family and having enough money, FU money and having nice house, a nice car. A lot of it was based around material things. But those material things are going to devour you. They're going to let you down. Those of you who are a little bit older might be coming to finally understand this. That we have been lied to. I'm going to do probably a few videos today, and who knows when they'll be posted. I'm trying to start editing, so we'll see how that goes. I am very ignorant when it comes to anything technology, but I try. But I'm going to be doing videos on how we are being lied to from the very beginning. We live in a narcissistic society. And that is the base nature of humans. It is our nature. We are narcissistic. All of us, whether we like to admit it or not. If left to our own devices, we are nothing but narcissists. When we start thinking of others, we think of others as how it relates to us. Because that is our nature. And the people who the people who rule us, basically, the people who are demonic, whether they know it or not. Let me turn around here. Let's see if I can get this glare off me. There we go. The people who rule us understand how narcissistic we really are and how gullible we really are. We're so easy to manipulate. The devil just sits back and laughs. You see, I started this to be a spiritual guide. This was before I was led back to Christ. Then I realized I was to find lost souls and lead them to Christ. But not only that, to plant the seeds of divinity, with evangelizing in sometimes subtle ways and sometimes in your face ways, but usually for me, starts out subtle, because that's how you plant seeds. You don't just throw a bunch all at the seeds all at once. Say, grow. You nurture the seeds. You have to nurture lost souls. I had to learn so much, and I still have an unimaginable amount to learn. But yet I am given this task of finding lost souls and leading them to Christ. And so I plant the seeds of divinity where I can. The seeds of how God worked in my life and how he can work in yours. And how we just don't understand that we're living for ourselves, and that will eat us alive. We were lied to from the very beginning. Propaganda was something that became big in the early 1900s, really around the regime of Adolf there in Germany. But it was around long before that. Even the idea of breakfast was propaganda. We had bacon and eggs for breakfast. That was something that people in the 1800s and before that, they didn't even think about. But it was implanted because the farmers, pork farmers, the chicken farmers, wheat farmers, they all decided this is an opportunity to seize on, that people will think this is the most important meal of the day, so we have to push it, right? Read the story of different advertisers and how they manipulate you from the very beginning. I remember the movie, if you guys remember the movie Fight Club. It's not a good movie for Christians, but I watched it a lot when I was younger, a young adult and a teen. And there was a part in it when they spliced the movie that people were watching really quick with a dirty X-rated movie. And people didn't understand what they saw, but yet they knew something had happened. And they thought, am I going crazy? What's going on here? Subliminal messages like this have been given to us since really at least the 1940s. Yeah, buddy. I've got, it's very beautiful here. I want to show you this real quick. I am across from Blue Jay Point. I don't know if you can see it over here. Let's see. It's right, this little peninsula sticking out there. That's Blue Jay Point near Raleigh. And I got out here to do the video, and what did I see? A blue jay landing right on the branch right in front of me. We see signs from God every day, and it's amazing. But I'll get to that later. Because we have to understand how we're being manipulated. We are manipulated to think that material things, material possessions are all that will make us happy. Because the love, yes, that's important, but the love won't come unless we have material things. Because if you're dating, try dating as a poor person. I can't even imagine it. And I've talked to some of you who have just tried dating in today's society. And I'll be honest with you, if something happened between me and my wife, if God forbid I lost her somehow, I would not be dating again. No. We need human connection, true. But we are lied to about that too. We are lied that intimacy only comes through sexuality. When in fact, sexuality is just a small part of what intimacy really is. In fact, it's really, unless it's between a man and a woman in marriage trying to have children, it is really a corruption. But it is one more thing that we have that drive for. Man, if you're in your 20s, when I was in my 20s, it is all I thought about. Even really in my 30s. But I was a little bit different in my 30s because I got disabled at the age of 30. So things took a turn for me. But in my 20s, man, I was susceptible to anything. If I would have gone out and been exposed to temptations, I could have tried to avoid them as much as I could have, but people in their 20s are just like rabid animals. Guys, at least. Women, a little bit different. But women are searching for sort of the same things. A lot of people use their sexuality. I think women especially use their sexuality because that's what they think is needed. Saying, if I don't give it up, I'm not going to lock this guy up or lock this woman up, right? No, guys don't, like I said, it's mainly women because guys are just willing to give it up no matter what. They are willing to give that up. But intimacy has nothing to do with sexuality. True intimacy is a deep connection. A deep connection that gets into one another's soul. So, listening to that blue jay going, knocking on some of the trees there, trying to find a nice little place to make a home. Shelter from the storm. Intimacy is a deep connection to each other's soul. We don't connect with someone on a sexual level. That is more transactional. That is more desire. That is base emotion. But yet we were lied to. Oh, the sex is not good. Sex isn't happening all the time. Better watch out. But those of you who are older understand this too. Because you spent your lives, maybe some of you, or maybe a lot of you, feeling this way. And you come to realize how ignorant that was. How wrong we were. How we were just rabid animals wanting to mate and eat and sleep, and that's it. That was our fulfillment. Just like a wild animal, no different. Because that's all we are as animals, right? If God wanted us to be led around by our base emotions, then God would not have given us a higher consciousness. Think about that. If God wanted us to be like the animals, He would have kept us like the animals. He wouldn't have even given us any kind of deeper insight. He wouldn't have given us the ability to ponder even God Himself. But this base emotion that we're led around by, it reminds me of the time of Noah, which Christ says the end times will be just like the time of Noah. Be eating and drinking and marrying up until the day that Noah gets on his ark. Not knowing any different. Ignorance is bliss, right? Hedonists engaged in hedonist activities. Because we are a world of narcissists and we are a world of hedonists. We only care about those base emotions, and that fulfillment comes from shallow things. Because even us Christians, we can say, well, what would fulfill us? And we can say, well, God would fulfill us in loving family, right? God fulfills us. Christ fulfills us. It's absolutely the right answer, but do you believe it? Do you believe a word that you are saying? Because how much fulfillment have you got from Jesus Christ? How have you gone and sought out Jesus Christ? How have you gone and tried to have a relationship with the God of the universe? And some of you who aren't religious or maybe just new seekers, you're like, well, that's impossible. You can't have an intimate relationship with the God of the universe because the God of the universe isn't standing here with us to converse with us. You are wrong. You are seeing only what the narcissist hedonist in you, the wild animal in you, wants you to see. You are not looking for God working in your life on a deeper level. You see, many of you know I come into nature and I come out here to talk to God and then to talk to you. But I look around me and I see signs from God every moment I'm out here. And when I don't, I keep digging deeper. And he never fails to answer me with some kind of sign. And I might not know what the sign means, but that's just because I'm not supposed to know what the sign means yet. I did a live stream last night because, I'll probably get that in a different video. But I was listening to another, my buddy TJ's podcast. TJ Tells the Truth. Check him out. And he had my other brother, Loving Spirit, on there. And they were talking about Loving Spirit. The only vision he had was a place that was kind of foggy, but you could not see the landscape around you. And he called it the Valley of the Shadow of Death. And that is really the main vision. I'd have to think about, I've seen visions, but I mostly see signs, if that makes sense. So vision is when you are taken to another place and actually see that other place. You are there. Not physically, you are there spiritually. When you see signs, you are seeing God communicating with you, as I'm looking at a little chickadee right now, right here, and he's too small for you to see. My camera is not good enough. You will see signs everywhere. Thank you for visiting me, buddy. Thank you. And you'll think, that's just the world. That's just what happens. That's not signs from God. Everything that happens in this world is from God. If it's from man, if it's man and his corruption, because everything we create is corruption, whether we think it's beautiful or not, signs from God are purest in nature. Because signs, let's say in the city, anywhere else where there's man just everywhere. But like here, I'm in nature, right? This is where I see the signs from God. And what's happening? I have airplanes flying over me, destroying the peace of the area. Just tainting the beauty. All of the wooded areas around me torn down for houses or buildings or something we don't need. But the signs from man are signs from Satan, because Satan rules the material world. God rules the natural world, creation. Now, God is above all of it, but he allows us free will, so we are allowed to taint this world. We are allowed to corrupt this world. They are really getting into it over there. I think about Babylon in the Bible, in a time of great distress for Israel and the Jews. And the prophet Daniel, with a lot of other young Jewish boys who were really well taught and young and handsome, they say, probably about 15 years old, around that, finished up with their education, so they were smart. But they went to the marvel of the man-made world in Babylon. If you read about the seven wonders of the ancient world, not the natural world, the ancient world, and you read about the hanging gardens of Babylon and their beauty. So Daniel and other prophets, Prophet Jeremiah spoke about it too, how it was the envy of the entire world. This place was beautiful. Because northern Israel, this was after God poured his wrath onto the Israelites. After the rule of King David and the rule of King Solomon, two men who were supposed to lead the Jews back to God, and two men who lost their way and were led astray, just as we all are. And King Solomon, who had the greatest wisdom and the greatest wealth any man has ever known. So Daniel and his buddies was taken to Babylon. And he was so wise, he became closer and closer to the king Nebuchadnezzar. And a couple rules of kings, but they found out Daniel could interpret the dreams. I guess when he was in prison, he started interpreting dreams, and that got back to the king, and ever since then, he had Daniel as a close ally. And really, Daniel was leading the Babylonians closer to God through his works, through his prophecies. But they could not escape that narcissist, hedonist nature, that animalistic nature. They could not escape it. Because if you live in a place of great wealth, well, this can happen anywhere. Great wealth, great comfort. You're not going to give it up. If you have nothing, if you were taken basically as a slave like Daniel and the Israelites were, you got nothing to lose. And you can easily surrender your life to God. You got two choices. You submit your life to your masters, or you give your life to God. That is the choices we have. We could submit to our masters, to the ruling elites, most of whom we don't even see. We see a couple people in the Congress, in the presidency, and Supreme Court, and judicial systems. We can submit to these people, or we can submit to God. What choice are you going to make? And this is what my teachings, because I didn't want to be a teacher. I didn't think I was worthy enough to be a teacher. And believe me, I have a lot to learn. And I'm not saying I'm above anyone else. But my videos, those of you who come to watch them, I love you all so much. You are the reason for my being. Because I submitted to God. I did submit to man most of my life until just about 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years and a little under a month now. November 18th, 2024 will be 2 years since I was saved. I submitted to man, and that means I worshiped myself. Even though I didn't view it as worshiping myself. I was selfish. I was a narcissist. I just wanted things for me to be better, things for me to be easier. Why do I have to suffer like this? Why am I the only one suffering while everyone around me is doing so great? Poor me. And then now I see others. Oh man. And I've suffered a lot. But I see others who, some can't even get out of bed. And they got pain so bad that no medicine's going to touch it. And I was like, poor me. Poor me. Listen, this is the choice that I want you to make. The thing I want you to think about the most. What fulfills you? If you don't think that God will really fulfill you, that having an intimate relationship with Christ is possible, if you don't think it's possible, you're not going to think Christ is going to fulfill you. If you don't think, well, I haven't heard from him yet, so it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If you don't put the time into it, just like you would the most important relationship of your life, because it is the most important relationship of your life. Don't get me wrong, it is the most important relationship. In fact, take every important relationship you ever had or ever thought you had and multiply it by 1,000,000, add them all up, and it doesn't come anywhere near what your relationship with Christ is. What your relationship with God and the Holy Spirit are. So if you want to have a deeper relationship with Christ, then you have to let go. There he goes. I feel him now. You probably hear the wind picking up. You have to surrender, my friends. My beautiful brothers and sisters, you have to surrender. And we keep holding on, and I do it too. I keep holding on to these comforts. I keep holding on to things of this world. And you have to live in this world. You have to engage with this world. And you have to have intimate relationships with people of this world, but it has to be through Christ to mean anything. We can look at deep, wise philosophers like Alan Watts and all these New Age spiritual people. There it is, coming to ruin my peace again. All these deep philosophers, and that's going to be another video I do today probably too. Because that's what modern man is following. We're these deep philosophers. And Alan Watts, I used to listen to him all the time. Every single day pretty much when I was first saved. Because I was trying to find the nature of God. The Holy Spirit was leading me. And I was like, well, Alan Watts seems pretty wise. And more and more, he had this disdain and this misunderstanding about Christians. And a lot of these Eastern religion, you know, they kind of make a mesh of their philosophies, and Eastern spiritual people, they don't have a clue. And they act like, I'm so enlightened, so in touch with myself and the spirit around me. You don't have a clue. You might have found some spirituality that gets you through a few hard times in life and think you're some kind of guru. But no, you don't have a clue. Christ is the way and the truth and the light. No one understands the God, the unknown God, the Father, unless they go through him. And you think you look at Christians and they're so unenlightened and anti-intellectual, and you are right about that. A lot of Christians are. But I want you to go and read. You have to read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But read the writings, especially of the Apostle Paul. A lot of his writings are letters to different churches in the early days of Christianity, after Christ died and was resurrected. And just see what a true intellectual looks like. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here because I'm going to probably do quite a few more videos today because I am inspired. I really am. I never run out of things to talk about, but today it is bursting. So this is just be one of many on fulfillment in life. I love you all so much. God bless.